Hey everyone, welcome to the live stream event. It's a demo event where we're going to be talking about microing your marketing. And I'm here with the amazing Kelley Tenny.
Good
Uh,
morning.
Good morning. Oh, that's right. It's still morning. Oh my goodness.
It's early
Um,
morning, early-ish,
that's what time is it? 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock.
Oh, eight
Yeah,
o'clock Pacific. We're almost at lunchtime. We're at 11 o'clock here
I
on the
know.
East
You guys are
Coast.
halfway done with your day.
Well, some of us are. I mean,
Yeah,
this is like a quarter of my day right now.
right. Exactly.
But it's still funny that it's 11, so it still feels like it's a little bit later in the day. Um, yeah, so we're going to be talking about microing your marketing. So Kelley, she's the owner and founder of Teach Your Brilliance and the co-founder of our new business, Micro Your Business. And she is the go-to expert for micro courses. And micro courses are different than mini courses, guys. And she's going to tell you guys all about it. And I'm actually going to let her take over the talking points so that I can go get you guys some links for after.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm happy to be here. I have my Wonder Woman mug channeling the 8 a.m. hour for us and a really great start to the day. So I'm super excited to be here and to be able to talk about microing your marketing and where micro courses fits into that whole concept of recognizing that when we go micro we can actually 3x our profits and do so with a lot more time and in a lot more automated and streamlined manner. So one of the pieces of going micro is doing micro courses. And, I want to start off by saying that micro courses may be a new concept in the world of online courses, but it really supports a concept that has actually been around for quite some time, which is the concept of micro learning. So, when we talk about micro learning, and if you look at educational research, and for those of you that don't know, my background is actually in education. I was in the K through 12 public education space for almost 20 years. I teach at the university level in terms of curriculum and instruction. And so, micro learning is the recognition that our brains actually prefer to learn in 12 to 15-minute chunks. When we as humans get too much information, that's actually when we stop processing and applying and implementing. And so there's a lot of research that has been done around the concept of traditional educational practices. You and I and many people watching probably went to school in the days where you sat in a 55-minute class, they lectured at you the entire time. Most college classes traditionally were set up that way. And what we're finding is it's just not conducive to how our brains want to learn. Our brains actually want to receive information in smaller, bite sized chunks, which I believe is why we're seeing so much popularity with TikTok, Instagram Reels, and short form videos. Yeah, Aaron, 12 to 15-minute chunks, which actually I feel like is great news for all of us because I'm sure we have all been in a workshop, a training, at a conference where after like 15 or so minutes, we're like, let me check my phone. Let me look at what this person's doing over here. And then we're like, wake up, you're at a conference. You're supposed to be paying attention. And that's just the way our brain works. I mean, we've all been in that experience of where we're like, oh, I'm having a hard time focusing. So, micro learning is really a much more effective way of being able for us to learn and learn in a way that we can turn around, see how the information applies to us, and more importantly, implement. Again, I know we've all gone to we've been to summits or those conferences where there's like panels of amazing speakers where we have, pages and pages of notes. And then we get home and we're like, now I'm just overwhelmed. And now I don't really
Mhm.
know what to do with it. And I
Yeah.
feel like I heard this really good idea that I wanted to implement in my business,
Yep.
but I feel paralyzed and I actually don't ever do anything with it, right? I mean, we've all
Yeah.
been there, I think.
Well, and do you find that people often feel like guilty or unfocused, or they blame themselves? Like, and I'm just bringing in the human emotional piece here, so that kind of spirals them down too.
It totally spirals them down. And again, one of the reasons why I'm sharing this and bringing all of the examples is because we've all been there and we've all felt either like I wasted the money, or I don't know what my problem is, why I can't get through and implement, or I'm sure a lot of us have taken online courses that we haven't finished.
Mhm.
And so we live in fear of, either putting out our own course or even taking another course because we're worried, because we have this pattern that we think is our pattern as to
Mhm.
why we don't finish it or why we don't use the information. But the truth is, it's actually because these courses are not set up correctly for how our brains like to learn. And so it's really the structure and the setup of the course, which is where micro courses come in, and why micro courses is a really big part of the missing piece of the puzzle.
Mhm.
And my son is off to school. Um, so a micro course is basically a course that follows that structure. So it's not a mini course, right? People think,
Mhm.
oh, what's the difference of a mini course? A mini course is just like a 1 week course.
Mhm.
A micro course is any course that has video that is in that sweet spot of 12 to 15 minutes.
Mhm.
So, instead of having 5 30-minute videos, you might have 15 10-minute videos.
Yeah.
And that's what the micro course is. It's really supporting your clients' brains in receiving information and giving them bite-sized pieces of information so
Yeah.
that they have time to implement into process before they move on to the next module.
Yeah. And I think that the implement and process piece is really important because and it's just been how I've developed over the years intellectually is when I took college classes, I couldn't quite grasp the
Mhm,
concepts. And it's
mhm,
not that I'm unintelligent, absolutely not that. It's just that I couldn't put it into a real life format so that it made more sense to me. It was very abstract the way that it was being taught.
It is, and if you think about our space, if you think about small business owners, service providers, entrepreneurs, all the people out there that are
Mhm.
are watching this,
Mhm.
our purpose of educating is to provide transformation, right? It's to take our
Yeah.
clients on a journey from point A to point B. It's not about just delivering information. I mean, we live in a world, and we've talked about this,
Mhm.
of Google, where if I want information, I can just Google information.
Yeah.
But if I'm going to take a course, it's like you're saying, I want to process and implement something and learn how to do something.
Mhm.
And that's why people take online courses, and I would hope that's why people want to put e-learning opportunities out there. And
Yeah.
this is really the structure of how of this is really the structure that's going to guarantee that people not only get the information, but they see the transformation as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love that. I love that they see the transformation as well. It's like it's all about the application afterwards. And, and I think that there's also a misconception of what the online education industry is supposed to be about. Like a lot of people jump in thinking that I'm going to make a ton of money and it's going to be online, it's going to be automated. There's so much more that goes into it. And, for those of us who have been in the online space for quite some
Mhm,
time, we know this. We know this, and we're seeing the changes. I know I'm seeing like abrupt changes of what worked even a year ago with marketing and with course creation is not working today.
mhm.
So I think that I actually am excited for everything that's changing when it comes to courses. And I think that what you're teaching especially is where it's going. So it's kind of it may feel like the early stages, but this is absolutely where it needs to go.
Well, and I think the proof is out there, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because I think traditional online course creators, the people that have
Hmm.
been traditionally out there and are considered the experts in the online course space, they have
Yeah.
taught that. They have said, take all of your content, throw it in a course, stick a
Hmm.
price tag on it, and it's just going to be this automated evergreen source of income, which is great if you want to just make money, right?
Right.
So if you're not in it for the transformation, for recognizing that a course is also a great way to generate greater impact, to reach more people, then that old model is fantastic. And there might maybe a lot of people watching that are like, oh, I did that, and maybe you're finding that it was a great source of income, but maybe that source has slowed down because of this new conversation that we're having, right? Because
Yep.
of that disruption in recognizing what e-learning actually looks like and how it can be most effective. And so, I think that's such a big difference. And like you said, I think
Mhm.
that is where the trend is going because we're no longer living in a time where we have all these hours to sit and watch modules and videos and not
Right.
worry about is it going to be worth the time commitment. In fact, I would say that people more are now concerned about a time commitment than they are a
Yeah.
financial commitment.
Well, and we were just talking about that yesterday about one of the biggest commodities for an individual, especially after COVID, the last 2 years of being inside and, um, and everything that brought everything forward this way is that time is the commodity that everybody wants more of.
Yes.
Like, if we've
Yeah.
discovered anything, it's that time is really precious
Mhm.
and that it is also very limited.
Yeah.
So we better do with it what we wanna do with it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And, I don't think that time would be an issue in a longer course where I
Mhm.
spent 6, 7, 8 hours watching it if I saw the transformation that was impactful to
Right.
my business or to me personally or whatever it was the course was about. But
Mhm.
research is actually telling us that those kinds of courses are less effective, which means that even if somebody was committed to spending the time, we
Mhm.
are still guaranteed that they're going to see more of a transformation if
Mhm.
we go micro and start shrinking down the way that we're delivering our educational content.
Right. Well, I mean, and this is really good information too, and I know we've been talking about it for the last couple of months, but it's that saying, and I can't remember who says it, but it's either that you're going to be the disrupted or you're going to be the disruptor.
Right.
So right now, there's the opportunity to be the disruptors in
Mhm.
this educational space, this e-learning space. So I think that there's so much to, and if it's not just a little bit of research, it's years of research, and it's
It's
escalated.
years. Yeah, it's years of research. In fact, when I started recognizing that I had the chance to be a disruptor and come
Hmm.
out and say, "Hey, stop following the old rules of creating online courses. It's time to think differently. It's time to mix things up."
Yep.
So much of the research that I came across around micro learning, around e-learning,
Hmm.
I smiled to myself because it's been out there for years, but it really has
Yep.
just been in the university space. So, as a university professor, as like traditional education, they've been studying this concept forever and they've been making these shifts in public education and the way college students are taught. We are just
Yep.
really behind the times in the space of, entrepreneurship, which makes sense because when you
Yeah.
look at a lot of the online course experts,
Hmm.
most of them don't have an educational background. Most of them have a system because they created a course and the course was successful and it worked.
Yep.
And so I think, where I come in is recognizing that what I've known forever as a public school teacher, as a university professor, actually does apply to this industry.
Hmm.
And we have the chance to be forward thinkers and to actually create greater impact if we switch up, yeah, Aaron, and start
Yep.
thinking differently and mixing things up. And I
Yep.
want to say that in the grand scheme of micro courses, right, presenting, and this is what it would look like for any of you that have a system out there. If you have a 5 step system that you're thinking, I'd love to create a course around that. The
Hmm.
old way would have told you to make 5 1-hour videos and create a course about your system and sell it. When we're talking about micro courses, a micro course would be coming out with 5 10-minute videos that explain just the first step in your system. And
Hmm.
then once people learn that and they start to implement that first step of your system, then you release a second micro course, which is about step 2 of your system. So now they can learn what's next, they can practice it, they can implement it. They're seeing, they have step 1 in place, they have step 2 in place, and then they move on to the third micro course, which is step 3 of your system.
Yep.
And not only does this help them with the learning process of being able to get the information process it and apply it, which is what is often missing in these longer courses,
Mhm.
but it really up levels their customer journey and the success that they feel in the process. And Danielle, I know you are such the expert when it comes
Yep.
to creating the customer journey, up leveling the client experience, and really being strategic around not just the main funnel that you have in
Mhm.
place, but recognizing that there's a need for different funnels in the customer journey. I'd love for
Yeah.
you to weigh in on how micro courses fits into that whole piece.
Yeah, and and I just wanna say I just love these conversations
I know.
because it's so much fun because we get to talk about disruption, and when you're talking about bringing this expertise from the educational space, right? You work with a
Mhm.
lot of colleges and students and bring it into the e-learning space. I mean, that alone is the disruption. Is that when we go from one industry to another and take the concepts and make it work for the industry, that's the disruption as well.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
um, so with that in mind, there's definitely a lot to be said for funnels, and it's been really interesting, and I think we noticed that at the very beginning of the year when we started working together and we said funnels and then there was like this overall groan, oh,
Yep.
funnels.
Yes.
It was so surprising. I'm like, wait, not every you guys don't love funnels like me? Okay, so let's let's dig into this a little bit. And I mean it didn't take long to figure out is that everybody thinks of a funnel as this really long step by step by step
Yes.
sales process when they're just trying to get something, they're just trying to get information and sign up for that, pay a smaller price point, or even get it for free.
Mhm.
And so basically, they're getting more than what they bargained for.
Right.
And so it just kind of sours the relationship when people have to go through that really, really long funnel when they weren't expecting it,
Mhm.
which makes sense because people they do love to buy, but they don't want to be sold to. And
Right.
a sales funnel is notorious for selling to people who don't want to buy.
Yes. Yeah.
Which sounds really counterintuitive, but I mean
We're
that's
selling
what
things to people that they don't want, which is
and
my experience with
yes,
those funnels is I came on to
yeah.
buy A, not B, C, D, E, F, and G, you know?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I could dissect all these funnels and say, I'm like, I don't know why that's an upsell and that's an upsell that doesn't
Yeah.
really match with what they came in for.
Mhm. Mhm.
And so what happens and this is what funnels are meant to do. They are meant to sell to a very, very specific type of buying persona. And the same buying persona across the board. And that is more of and it's either one or the other, but it's more of like a competitive edge buying persona or a spontaneous. They buy fast and they buy for different reasons. One is more because they're looking for that competitive edge, and the
Mhm.
other is because they want to move things forward. So that's just a brief definition of what separates the two of them. But the thing that's the same, they buy fast. Funnels are meant to serve that 1% or even half a percent these days of people who are buying fast. That's what it is. Now, what
Mhm.
happens to the 99%? Well, not my problem, is
Yeah.
usually what the funnel maker
Mhm.
says.
Mhm.
And so we have 99% of people who came in for either a free lead magnet or a small ticket product that do have a need for that particular piece. And they're being underserved the further along the funnel they go.
Mhm.
So when it comes to a customer journey experience, it's kind of, well, I don't know if I can swear, but it's kind of crappy. I'd like to
Yeah,
say something else, but it's
it
kind of
does.
crappy.
Mhm.
It's not a great experience, and it's not one that a lot of people are going to come back and have again.
Mhm.
So, and not just having that experience again with that funnel, but with that company or with that individual.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you feel, but I'm usually just like, yeah, this is kind of a one-hit wonder for me. I don't think I need anything else, and I don't think they have what I need anyway. Um, and a lot of the times I'll download the lead magnet and just like, this is even what they said it was going to be, and all that copy that I had to read through. So,
Mhm.
so funnels, the overall groan of funnel, or I mean, even like what really is a funnel, then having to explain that is kind of where we are at in the online space, which is really sad to
Yeah.
me because I think that funnels are actually an amazing way to create a wonderful experience and relationship.
Mhm.
However, It has to be different than what it is right now.
Yeah.
Um, and so you and I were talking about this yesterday. We had a nice little we had 3 people on the chat, and it was a lot of fun, and it makes a lot of sense in
Mhm.
that funnels they first and foremost need to deliver what they say they're gonna deliver.
Right.
Really, that's what it is. And if that's what's happening, then we don't actually need all the extra fluff, which you see
Mhm.
on either one of the sales pages in a funnel or one of the lead magnet pages in a funnel. Doesn't need to be that. We can actually micro that content. We can micro the content and keep the page really simple and to the point and take all the
Mhm.
fluff out
Yeah.
and just deliver that content. So there's a couple different ways that we can do that. But really, what that looks like is that if you have a lead magnet and you're thinking about attaching all these upsells and all these extra things, what I tell everybody now is like just take a beat. Is it the logical next step? And do they need it right now? Are they ready for it right now? Most of the time, it's a no.
Mhm.
It's a no, they don't. Actually, no, they're not ready. Or they're not ready for upsell two and upsell three or downsell one and two.
Mhm.
They're just it doesn't that's not what they're here for. They're here for this, and this next thing makes a lot of sense, so I'll put that in. So that's actually 1, 2, that's 2 pages in a funnel, and the third is just the confirmation page. That's just 3.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, and that goes along with the same concept. That's I think that's all about the go micro piece, right?
Mhm.
Because when we're talking about micro courses, I don't know how many people out there have purchased a course and have
Mhm.
been like, okay, module 1 and 2 is what I really needed.
Uh-huh.
I wasn't ready for 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Mhm.
A lot of people out there, especially if they're just at the top of funnel, if they're just coming into your space,
Mhm.
they don't want the whole course on the 5-step process. They
Yeah.
want the first couple steps to get them started, and they
Yeah.
want to feel comfortable with them, and they want to see them working, and then they're ready to lean in and to go to the next step. And when we're talking about going micro, I think that's such a big piece of it. It's recognizing that the old supersize way of thinking of give them
Mhm.
everything you have all at once,
Yeah.
is actually overwhelming. And it
Yeah.
actually, I think, is counteractive to what the intention is, which the intention is, I'm just here for this one piece.
Yeah.
And, I know personally we've used a lot of words around how we feel with funnels, but,
Yeah.
for me, it often feels like a bait and switch. It's often like, I came here to buy a
Yeah.
book. How am I now in this funnel for dietary supplements all of a sudden? Or, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And maybe I need them, and maybe all of us as the experts know you're going to need all these things. But the going micro is, like you said, it's taking the fluff out of it and it's allowing the customer to be on their journey and get what they
Yeah.
need when they need it. It's not
Yeah.
about us shoving everything in their face saying,
Yeah.
trust me, you're going to want this. And I think that's the
Yeah.
switch in the customer journey.
And I love that you use trust because that was the next thing I was going to say is
Mhm.
that so there's a big difference between marketing in person and marketing online.
Mhm.
And in person, we actually don't need as much time, as much energy, or as much fluff or words to get people
Mhm.
to trust us. They can usually read us very well in person versus online. Now, online is where there is this massive amount of distrust. Can't
Mhm.
blame them, but look at everything that we have out there. I mean, you used it, bait and switch.
Mhm.
I mean, have you tried to bait and switch somebody in person? It's really yeah, I don't
Yeah.
I've never been bait and switched in person. So,
Right.
but then again, you know, I've never dated, so that's probably what it's like. I'm sure there's something in there.
Yeah.
I know our dating experts are like, wait a second, we've got something to say, and that's it. Yeah, we'll come back to that, guys.
Yeah.
But that's really a important piece in the online space. And I talk about this. I'm like, if you're looking to build influence and you're looking to build authority, you have to build trust.
Mhm.
And how can you build trust if the first thing that people experience from you is a very long sales funnel
Mhm.
that doesn't even give them what they want and what they came in for and just bait and switch them? So there's that other perspective, that other angle that we have to look at. And it all counts. It all counts towards whether or not they continue on with you on
Mhm.
that customer journey, or they opt out and they move on to the next person. And good news is that since funnels are very popular, most people have the same funnel or the same experience. So
Mhm.
again, the disruption is going to be in doing something different that is customer centric. And
Yeah.
customer centric is where we put the customer first and their needs first,
Mhm.
which is why micro courses and micro funnels are so important.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I think if you guys have funnels and there's 7 steps, you can bring those down to 3. If you really just want to get people that information that they need, then bring it down to the opt-in and then the confirmation. And instead, focus on the next piece. And the next piece is what I lovingly refer to as nurture. It's a nurture funnel, which is usually just email sequences. And this is where we can really, really bring these guys in and to trust us. And I know there's all these different steps, and everybody has some swipe copy that this they swear by this works. And what I want people to understand is that yeah, it can work. The swipe copy can work, but here's the thing, and I'm gonna bring this back to what Kelley has been saying is that how are they taking that information and moving it forward and making it work for them?
Mhm.
If you are
Mhm.
swiping copy from somebody in a different industry, or I mean, they could even be in the same one, but they have a different experience, and they're not doing that educational piece. They're not doing that piece where people can actually um, implement into their own situation, then that's actually a very long nurture funnel
Mhm.
or sequence, email sequence that isn't taking them to where they need to go.
Right.
So that's the other thing to think about. And I think that people just need to take a step back and kind of look at this from more of a global perspective on we have our funnels, we have our micro courses. How are we helping people to embody that information that we're giving them so that we build that trust and it makes the most sense to come in and work with us.
Mhm.
And it's again the customer centric.
And I know that you and I have had this conversation offline. It's recognizing too that I would think most of us, when we're thinking about a funnel, it's to keep people in our space, right? It's to
Yeah.
keep them coming back. When I help my clients create courses, I'm always telling them, your course should not be an end all. It should lead to
Yeah.
something. So if you're thinking from the perspective of a one and done course, you're
Mhm.
making a mistake and you're missing a lot of opportunity of bringing them back around into the next step. And it's always interesting because when I see like the traditional funnel that's put out
Mhm.
by a lot of the experts, it
Mhm.
goes like this. There's one way in and they kind of pop out at the other end and that's it. And I know you and I have talked about the funnel ecosystem before,
Mhm.
recognizing that we don't want our clients to come in and out and then they're done and they're off to somebody else. We
Yeah.
want them coming back again and again and again and again
Yeah.
into our next products. And so when you're talking about these different funnels, when you're talking about removing the fluff and thinking about what their next step is, to
Yeah.
me, that just guarantees. And again, with the micro course, when we're
Mhm.
talking about you just give them the first step, then they have to come back for the second. You're
Yeah.
creating this ecosystem of lifelong clients,
Yeah.
and you're not giving them the opportunity to be done and exit and then move on to the next expert, the next coach, the next consultant. And
Yeah.
so I think that's a really big missed opportunity that some of the leaders in the industry um, forgot to add, right? There's that big
Yeah.
gap of like, we don't want them to come through and out. We want them
Yeah.
to continue to come back. And that's where the go micro piece happens. It's
Yeah.
it's moving into the next micro funnel. It's moving into the next micro course.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny. As soon as you said like coming the funnel and coming in and out, did you ever watch Ace Ventura?
Mhm.
The second one
Yeah.
where he's in the mechanical hippo or rhino or something.
Yes.
As soon as you said that, I'm like, that's kind of
Yeah.
what it's like. We're just shoving them right out. And I
Yeah.
love that you said that because it's probably exactly how they feel too. Like I just got shoved out of something, that I shouldn't have been in anyway.
Yeah, and they're
Um,
like, "Now what?" And
yeah,
if they don't have a great customer experience,
they're not coming
I know
back.
for me, I'm not coming back.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna take the time to be like, "Oh, let me dig in and see where my next entry point might be with them," because I'm gonna be like, "That was an okay experience, and maybe I got overwhelmed and I didn't
yeah,
actually do anything with that information, which will, to me means it was ineffective. I'm gonna go find somebody else."
yeah.
So there's so many different levels to recognizing that, these old ways of thinking are not
Hmm.
conducive to our clients, and they're probably not the best systems in place for us as business owners either.
No, and I think that you make a really good point with the ecosystems. You and I, oh, I mean, geez, it's so nice to have someone else to talk about science stuff with, I will say. When we talk about the ecosystem, which is just it's a life cycle, but it's a round life cycle. It keeps coming back
Mhm.
around. And that's the beautiful thing about ecosystems. But really what we're talking about is that 99%.
Mhm.
So instead of us just tossing them aside, and I mean, even if we get their email address and we still, want to nurture them in our email systems, but we do it in an automated way, they've already had the experience. So they're going to be either unsubscribing or spam blocking you, or
Mhm.
just not opening these emails anymore,
Yep.
which can be, I mean, that's expensive. So if you
Yeah.
think about that, think about somebody who has been doing this for a long time, running Facebook ads. They have this huge list that keeps going up with people who aren't opening their emails.
Mhm.
That's a lot to spend per month. That's a
Mhm.
lot to spend per month to not get the client. So what you're saying is, I mean, yes, it's saving everybody time, but also it's saving them money. And
Yeah.
in the long run, it's making them money. And that's the thing is that we've been so focused on the short term wins when we're not getting the long term gains. And the long-term gains come from the ecosystem, and
Mhm.
they come from the customer-centric journeys. So when
Yeah.
when you have your funnels in place and they're there to support your customers, and then you have the or hurting your yes,
Yeah.
Kelley, thank you. See? Yeah,
Yeah.
she's right. Hurting the deliverability, which actually ends up hurting your website and everything else. There's so much more that goes into that.
Mhm.
But when we have these ecosystems, we have funnels that are there specifically for customer centric nurturing, and it's what they need.
Mhm.
Then that's when everybody wins.
Right.
So I think that it's it and it does feel a little time consuming. I know that we talked about that too, where it's like, wow, that's a lot to think about. And here's my perspective on it is when we're thinking about our customers this way, it becomes easier and easier and easier to talk to them.
Mhm.
It actually becomes less time consuming.
Well, and it does. And if you think about the amount of time it takes to create a full funnel, the
Yeah.
amount of time it takes to create a full online course,
Mhm.
when we're talking about giving them these bite-sized pieces of content and, these bite-sized pieces of education where they can just take it and turn around and implement it, we can't forget the fact that if it's shorter for them, it's going to be easier for us to produce.
Yeah.
When we're talking about how long it would take me to build a 7-page funnel versus a 3-page funnel,
Hmm.
that time is considerably lost. When we're talking about you filming 5 1-hour videos or you filming 5 10-minute videos, that's a huge chunk of time that you're saving. So,
Yep.
I think it seems time consuming in terms of like wrapping our brain around what that actually looks like.
Yep.
But if you look at the actual time spent in delivering these things,
Hmm.
you are even saving yourself so much time. I mean, you and I know have been cranking out micro courses left and right because I'm like, oh, I have an hour. I can go
Yeah.
and film 4 10-minute videos to teach them what
Yep.
micro learning is, for example, or whatever it may be. I couldn't produce a course on micro learning by any means in a day,
Yeah.
much less probably a week, unless that's all I was doing that week. And so it's a huge, gift of time, not only for our clients, but for us as the people who are creating the content as well.
And that's the other thing that we were talking about yesterday too, is that, yes, we're customer centric, but also, I mean, we need some longevity here
Yeah.
as business owners.
Yep.
How many people do you talk to on like a daily or a weekly basis that I'm like, I'm so burnt out.
Yeah.
I'm so burnt out, which is the opposite of what it means to be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is not meant to be burnt out. An entrepreneur is meant to be motivated and
Yeah.
inspired and excited about what it is that they're doing, especially if they're in it for impact. Like you and I are in it for impact.
Mhm.
And we know that everything that we create is going to impact somebody's life, somebody's business.
Right.
And that's exciting.
Mhm.
That's really exciting. And so, and there's just this perspective that it has to be hard.
Right.
It has to be difficult. I have to figure it all out. When really, to what you're saying with saving the time and doing the micro and cranking out the micro courses, that's because you can do that because you know your ideal client. You know what their next steps needs are. You know exactly what they need to get there to get the results. There's no fluff that you need to add to it. You don't even have to go out and research
Right.
more things and take that time to get it right because it already is.
Mhm. Yeah.
And you can just go out there and do a video. It doesn't even have to be fancy because the information is so right on the money.
Right. Right.
The same thing goes for the copy on your funnels. The
Yeah.
copy on your funnels, the design on your funnels, it can be done so quickly. And then we even have shorter ways of putting together funnels. It's really amazing too, which is our video funnels. And so those are really exciting because they're videos. And I can create a whole new funnel, a video, and send it to people. And they can go on different pathways and I can segment them in 20 minutes. I
Mhm.
can create a funnel, a video funnel in 20 minutes, and it can do everything that a regular funnel would do, but better and faster.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
I think that I mean I can't go back.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
can't.
you know what? And I don't think your clients will go back either. I mean, I
No.
think the more, and again, you said earlier, we have the chance to be disruptors or to be the ones that are disrupted. And I think for those of us that are willing to get out there and be the disruptors, our clients are not going to go back to the old way,
No.
which in a world where things are highly competitive, the old way is going to feel like a time suck. It's going to feel like a bait and switch. And
Mhm.
so, it's really recognizing too that once we all start stepping into this space of going micro,
Mhm.
our clients are not going to want to go back to anybody who's doing anything the old way. And so that really gives us this great edge to, and it's really a gift. I mean, we're
Yeah.
talking about impacting our clients. I want my clients to go out and create courses. I don't want them sitting in my course for so long that they know how to build a course, but they just never do because they got
Yeah.
overwhelmed or because they spent all their time learning. Greater impact means that we're teaching people to do something, to turn around and to take action. And, we know that this is the way for them to be able to do it and to be able to be nurtured so that they're not left hanging once they're finished. They have another
Mhm.
place to come in where they can go to the next level and they can move things along. And there's so many industries I think that can utilize this concept of microing
Mhm.
to not only accelerate and uplevel their customer journey, but to also recognize that it's a great way to stand out against
Mhm.
the other people in their field.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
we've talked about that too, and I think this is a really good segue before we go and do a quick demo of what a micro or I'm just going to show everybody what a micro funnel looks like. I'm not sure, Kelly, if you want to show them what a micro course looks like.
I
Maybe you want to
definitely
you want to do that? Okay, we'll do a demo of both of our things. Um so that you guys can see what it looks like and we'll tell you how long it took us to create it too. But when you're talking about different industries and utilizing micro courses and micro funnels, I think that there's a lot to be said for the pre-education that can happen in these. And so for anyone who's in an industry where they have a couple different ideal clients and they're just on different points in their life cycle. So what's a really good I mean, real estate agents are a really good example, right?
Mhm.
So they may have ideal clients and they know this, that they need to nurture that are at the beginning phases of buying a house.
Yeah.
Yet they know how important it is to make that initial connection with these guys and to be that real estate agent that they're thinking of that's top of mind when they're ready, but they
Mhm.
have so many questions. And a real estate agent's just like, well, I this is how I make money when I sell houses and when people buy houses. That's how
Right.
I make money. So how am I supposed to do this? This is where micro courses are really essential for that pre-education. And not only that, but it builds the trust and it builds the rapport and
Mhm.
it gives people what they need without it taking all that time out of your calendar where you're doing sales things that you have to move the needle forward. So
Yeah.
I'd love for you to talk about that piece of it too.
Well, real estate is an interesting industry because being someone who has been a homeowner, I know how many things have to happen before I'm actually ready to buy or sell my home. I've bought
Mhm,
homes, I've sold my homes, and there's so many pieces that have to be in place in order for that to happen. And so, if we think about all the realtors out there, for example, real estate is so hot right now. So if we're
yeah.
thinking about all those realtors out there that are like, I want, I want sellers, I want to be able to put homes on the market in this really hot industry right now. I know when I was getting ready to sell my home, there were a lot of things that had to happen along the way in order for me to actually sell my home and get the best price possible. And so my realtor spent a lot of time, between that conversation of we think we want to sell
Mhm.
to actually being ready to put our house on the market,
Mhm.
prepping, looking at fixing our house, looking at what features we can maybe upgrade so that we can get a higher price, looking at what the market is like, recognizing what kind of house we want to move into. Like getting our credit in order, right? Getting pre
Mhm.
approvals. There's so many
Mhm.
things that have to happen that I always think like, man, if I had just known all of this before, right? If
Mhm.
there had been some pre-education before, I literally could have handed my realtor my house and been like, we're ready to go put it on the market.
Right.
And so, on that side, on the realtor side, she could have streamlined so much of that
Yeah.
and not had to spend so much time with me and been able to prime me to where I'm like, here's this beautiful house that's turnkey and ready to sell if there had been some pre-education in place. And that's where micro courses come in,
Mhm.
for anybody out there who's like, I answer these questions all day long. I can't even tell you how much time I spend answering the same question.
Mhm.
That is your first micro course.
Yep.
If you develop the micro course, you automate it,
Mhm.
they ask you the question, you're like, I have this great micro course for you. Here's the link. And it's pre educating them. It makes them feel like you've delivered information that's exactly what they were looking for. And it's freed up your time. You're no longer typing the same things in over Messenger. You're no longer explaining the same things on the phone. And when we're talking about something like real estate, I know realtors have the same conversations again and again and again and again
Yeah.
to move their clients to a place where they're actually ready to sell. And so if all of that was done with
Mhm.
micro courses and micro funnels, if I'm just wondering, since the market is so hot, whether
Mhm.
it's time for me to sell a house, and I come
Mhm.
across a video that says, are you wondering if now is the time to sell your house?
Mhm.
I'm already like, oh my gosh, this person is speaking right to me. And we're
Yep.
developing that know, like, and trust factor right away.
Yeah.
And instead of them doing a cold call to me, I'm now coming to them saying, hey, I saw your video and it was spot on. And yes, I do think I'm ready to sell my house. And they didn't even have to do anything, right? They just had to put the video out there.
Brings that ad
Yeah.
spend right down, doesn't it? If you think
Yeah.
about it, I mean,
Mhm.
and the time that goes into creating those ads and that
Yeah.
customer journey, I mean, this is why bigger companies do omni-channel marketing. I mean, this is what it is.
Yeah.
It's customer centric, it's about that. But you have to have these pieces, these marketing assets in place first, which is your
Mhm.
micro courses.
Mhm.
All of that helps and it supports. This is where we
Absolutely.
start. This is where we start.
Absolutely. And the versatility that comes with the micro course, being
Mhm,
able to put it in different, parts of your funnel, being able to put it out there in different audiences, being
mhm,
able to say like, yeah, maybe I want to help people in all of Southern California. And
mhm.
so maybe it's switching up the 10-minute welcome video that says, hey, if you live in this county, this is what's going on. Hey, if you live in this county, this is what's going on. But
Yeah.
all the other pieces are the same. Like your ability to customize and like we're talking about really up level that
Mhm,
client experience where you're moving from that, oh, I can tell this was a general thing trying to catch everybody
mhm,
to, wow, it really feels like this person has spent the time to talk to people like me.
mhm.
I think makes all the difference. And it's not
Yeah,
just about, again, the time and the automation that's happening on
yeah.
our side as the service provider. It's really making the people feel special on the other end with those smaller, easy to digest custom pieces that are doable in a micro course.
And I love that we're talking about this because a lot of these smaller pieces that they can be they're I mean for me they tend to be like one off. So if somebody asks me a question and my go-to is to go to Loom or to go to Loom or Zoom,
Mhm.
and to show them the answer and show
Yep.
them how they can implement themselves. It doesn't take me very long, so I do it. However, there's this underlying piece of, man, I wonder what I mean, I wish I could repurpose this in some way, but that's the beauty of how you're talking about creating. It's almost a library of content that can be pulled
Yes.
into micro courses
Yep.
and customized
Mhm.
to a group of people or to an individual. So nothing's wasted.
Right.
Nothing's wasted. Everything is usable and everything is useful to people. And there's so many different ways that we can put that together.
Mhm.
And it's so simple, yet often overlooked as a lot of this is,
Yeah.
because we're just it's almost like we have been in survival mode when it comes to building these businesses
Mhm.
online. And it's just because we haven't been taught. We haven't been taught. We
Yeah.
haven't been able to digest the information. There hasn't been time to take a step back and look at the strategy behind all of this and
Mhm.
how does it interconnect and how does it help our ideal clients move things forward. So
Yeah.
there's so much to be said for micro courses and how to develop these and the micro funnels of support and how to create those ecosystems for these ideal clients. And this is a completely it's not a completely new conversation, but the combination of the 3 is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's really a game changing, conversation. And I know we're reaching the top of the hour. So I'd
Yep.
love to give everybody just a sneak peek of the background of my micro course to kind of show not just how easy it is, but how simple it actually can be, how not complicated creating a micro course is.
That's it. I'm just double checking to make sure that it's
Mm,
allowing you to
mm.
share.
Okay, let me see.
Should be do you have a share button?
I do have a share button and let me find my tab. Okay. So this is the background of my micro course, and this is a micro course on creating a micro course.
Okay.
And so the concept behind this is that I have a blueprint that I follow when creating a micro course. It's 5 steps. And it actually was a lead magnet at one point. And so I decided to shift that lead magnet into a video micro course, which obviously is going to, as we've been talking about, reap all the benefits of that trust factor, people being able to see me and delivering it in a way that is going to give it to them in step by step instead of like a full PDF all at once. And so the 5 steps of my blueprint are right here in these lessons, and they're cushioned with a welcome video, which I can interchange actually. So like I can say like, hey, if you're a realtor and you're ready to create a micro course, this is the blah, blah, blah for you. I can also say, hey, all of you coaches, consultants, and experts out there in the entrepreneurial industry, this is for you, right? So this welcome video is really interchangeable, which might allow me to create 10 different create your micro courses for different industries if we're talking about the funnel, right? If we're talking about recognizing all the client buckets I might have out there. But if you look at the background of it, they're going to get a quick introduction, and they have my blueprint, which, as I mentioned, was a lead magnet, a PDF lead magnet. And it's going to follow along what each of these steps are. If you look at, for example, what step one is, which is recognizing your client avatar, it's a small thing. There's nothing fancy. It's saying, watch this video, for example. And if you look at the video piece, play for me. The video piece is actually, less than, like, I think it's less than 7 minutes. And so in this video, I talk about, and I can't get it to play. In this video, I talk about, here's where you need to start. You need to start by identifying what, like we're talking about, who is out there in your community, what is it that they want to know. And so as they move through these, they're really getting, I'm going to say on an average, 8-minute videos, which means somebody could go through this in an hour. Somebody could go through lesson one and stop and say, let me think about who my client avatar is and work through that process, and come back and spend 10 more minutes on the next step. And so there's a lot of things in here that allow them to create their own journey and move through their journey at their own pace, right? Instead of having this overwhelming 5 modules, 10 lessons in each module, and so forth. And obviously, this is the piece. So once they go through this course, the piece is that they're going to have a very clear structure and outline for their first micro course.
Yeah.
And for anybody who's created a course, we know that there are a lot of steps after that. There's building the course, there's finding the right platform, there's launching and marketing the course. But instead of putting all of those in a big course, they're getting these small niche pieces of content that are going to move them and allow them to implement along the way.
It's the difference between being sold to and being supported. Like,
Absolutely.
really, that's what this is. This is all about us supporting our ideal clients. And so it feels completely different when people are walking through that experience with you.
Mhm, mhm,
They know that they're going to get educated. They know that they're going to get what they need, and they know that if they want the next steps, then it's available for them. So
right,
it's what's working. It's what's working right now in marketing, and there's so much that you can do with it. You don't actually have to plan out a huge launch either. It's not
right,
about the launch. It's more about the ecosystem.
right.
So, a completely different way of looking at marketing,
Yeah.
than what has been looked at. So, I
Mhm.
love that you showed them that. And I'm gonna do a quick little demo too. So,
Yes.
this is gonna be our gift to you guys, so don't worry, we're gonna drop the link. But we wanna show you guys just how simple you can make a micro funnel. So this is Micro Your Business Course and Funnel Framework. So we have a framework for everybody that gives you the main steps that you need to start creating your own micro course and micro funnels.
Mhm.
So I'm going to share screen. And so you guys are going to get that. Okay. Is that showing up? Let me just make sure. I can't tell. Is that showing up, Kelley?
Yep. Yep.
Okay. Oh, perfect. Okay. So, guys, this is the opt-in for the framework. Click to download. I mean, it's very simple. I don't have a lot of copy on here. I have a couple marketing assets here and graphics. And what you will discover in the frameworks, just lay it out what they're going to get. That's
Mhm.
it. And then we talk a little bit about ourselves, and then we have some social media down here for you guys to look at. So, it's a quick click, sign up, just your name, your email, you sign up for the framework, and then you guys go over to the confirmation page, which is thanks for signing up. And we give you guys step by step instructions just in case you want it, because it's going to come to your email. We do have like a welcome email, like, hey, thanks for signing up. Here's your download. But the thing that I do with the confirmation page, guys, and it's just to keep it all in one place, because who wants to click out and go to their email and get their framework when they can get it right here, click and
Mhm,
download. So that's the other thing that I found to be really essential, is to get deliver and give them exactly what you said you were going to deliver, not just in their email and make them wait 15 minutes for it so that you can train them on something else, but deliver what you said you were going to deliver and do it immediately.
mhm,
It makes it for a really great customer experience. Now, where, and this is 2 pages, and guess how long this took me to create? I mean, yes, I've got templates, and yes, I'm really fast, but I this literally took me 20 minutes, and that's not even including, uh, or no, that is including these assets right here, these
mhm, mhm.
these little graphics. It's the color scheme and everything. 20 minutes for, I mean, geez, you can put out tons of those, right?
Absolutely. Mhm,
So, so this is the difference between a like a micro funnel and a regular funnel, and just how quickly I was able to put it together and how quickly everybody else was able to receive what it is that they really want. And then the real work begins with
yeah,
the nurture afterwards. But I tell you, if you leave them with a good feeling, not only are they going to come back, and you've created a space with the for your ecosystem within the nurture, the email nurture, and you think about what it is they need next,
mhm,
they're going to bring people into it as well. And there's a lot of ways to do that, but that's how you build a platform. That's how you build a brand.
right.
And that is still the best form of marketing is word of mouth. It really is. It always will be when it comes to humans, because that's just, we communicate that way. And when somebody says, you need to go and check this out, these guys are great, you can trust what they say, it works, people come in.
Right.
And then that's the long-term gains too. So
Mhm, mhm.
that's the demos for now. And
Awesome.
yeah, I think that's it. Do you want to just open it up for a quick Q&A, a couple extra minutes?
Sure. If anybody has any questions for us, obviously, I'm sure you have tons of great ideas, and hopefully, you're really seeing the difference and the impact that creating and going micro with your marketing, again, not only is going to up level your customer journey and the experience that people are having with you, but it's also going to, when we talk about improving your results, it's all about also the amount of time that is freed up for all of you so that you can serve, so that you can have those conversations with the hot leads in your space. It's so that you can automate again all those questions that right now you're answering over and over and over and over again. So it's just I think it's a shift that we've been talking about. It's a shift that's coming. It's a shift that I think not a lot of people are transitioning yet, and it's such a good opportunity to really be the front leaders in the thought around going micro, and gifting your clients with time, making things more bite sized for them, making things in a way that they can just digest it. I mean, I look at the sales page that you just showed, and it's like, oh, what a relief, to not have to go through 100 steps just to get
Yeah.
something that I want.
Yep.
I, as a consumer, don't want any part of that any
Mhm.
more than I, as a service provider, want to spend the time adding 5 extra pages to what you just showed us. So
Yep.
it really, I think it's a no-brainer, and I think that when you really look at what are those little pieces of content that you can start delivering, I think for all of us, it becomes a lot less overwhelming and a lot
Yeah.
less doable, if you will, on both sides.
Yeah. And it's what's important. Right.
Mhm.
So I mean, we talked about this at the beginning, and just like people are really starting to understand that time's a commodity, it's also the importance of our time. What's really important right now.
Mhm. Mhm.
And what's really important is the information that people are signing up for. What's
Yeah.
really important is being able to deliver that, delivering what you say, and not having to add in the extras, not having to overthink it.
Mhm.
We do make it more complicated as humans, we just
Yeah.
do. We just
Yeah.
do. And this is our opportunity to uncomplicate to uncomplicate everything and just keep it very straightforward and focus on what's really important, which is the customer, right? And what the
Right.
customer needs are, and helping them identify those and moving them to where they need to be within your ecosystem. So,
Yeah.
um, and now it gets to happen in the online space, which
Yeah.
I'm really excited for.
Mhm.
And people who are watching this, you guys get to join us for the journey of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm glad you put the link up there.
Yep.
For anybody who's like, yes, this is a great shift that I'm ready to make, or even if you're just like, I think maybe this is more doable, grab our blueprint on micro marketing. It includes, how to the 5 steps that we talked about for the micro courses. Danielle's got her really simple steps to micro funnels. And this is just a great start for anyone who's like, I want to know more. I want to know how to get started. What are the first steps? That is going to give you the first pieces. So dive
Yep.
in there, take a look. I really think that for all of us, it's going to provide a breath of fresh air in order of how we deliver things and how our customers come through and have
Yep.
that experience with us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so beautifully said. All right, guys. Well, you guys know where we're at here on LinkedIn. And for those of you guys that are watching the replay, whether on LinkedIn or one of the other platforms, just know that we will reach out and give you guys a link if you don't grab it right from the screen. We'll make sure you guys have it because that is the experience we want you to have.
Yep.
And then until next time, guys, thanks for joining us and make it a great one.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.
Bye.